located in Almaty. It's a city where all these major events are happening right now. It's happening on the third day. I mean, during last 3 days, and the situation is quite dangerous. People are afraid. It's very. I mean, we haven't seen such situation for a long time. Maybe it's the first time we've seen such events, and the situation is getting worse. I mean, it's why it's also acute because the internet is blocked and the television also blocked sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, so people don't have information. That's why they're very scared.
So the president's claim that order has been restored, is that true?
We feel it that maybe it's better than, for example, yesterday or the day before yesterday, but no, it's not restored like fully, no.
These protests were sparked.
Because we still hear some fighting, we still hear some guns and so on.
Right, so the situation is very much still ongoing. I want to ask you,
yes.
These protests were sparked by doubling gas prices, but is there more that's fueling the anger?
Sure.
How do people feel about the current government?
People, in majority, we can do statistics. For example, last parliament votes that happened a year ago, according to official data, they were like around 80% who voted, and around 60% of them, or around 70, they voted for this leading party, Nuratan, that is presented by the government. But according to independent observers, only 15% people attended this voting, and only 37% of them voted for Nuratan. So we can see that people are very they don't believe in current government. They don't even participate in voting, and they are very afraid of this persistent just reclamations of something will change, but nothing is changing, and only it's getting worse and worse. And they feel it by their own purse, their own food, because they can't afford to buy houses and so on.
How worried are locals about the arrival of Russian troops on the ground?
Locals are quite worried because yesterday there was even a protest, and it was very we didn't even see it happen because there were these protesters or extremists or terrorists, as they call them now, and there were this military, but still some activists. They went to this main square with banners, and they said that we don't want these troops, and people are worried. But I feel that majority of people, they are not worried. They just want to get back to peaceful situation, because people of Almaty, they never saw it, and they are so afraid now, and they're afraid because of business, because people, these extremists, they ruined a lot of stores, a lot of cars, and so on. That's why they just want to get to peaceful situation and just know that their relatives are okay and they will be okay, and so on.
Aisana, do you expect the situation to escalate even further?
Actually, we don't know what will happen, because nobody saw that what's happening right now, that it will happen, because nobody saw it, especially that we have this major celebration, Happy New Year, and people are usually they're just laying at home, getting rest and so on. But this, what happened in Zhanaozen and what is happening now, it's completely two different strikes and two different groups of people. So firstly, they were these peaceful protesters that they wanted to have this prices to be fair. They wanted political changes. They wanted fair election, police and all these institutes to be great. But now it's just extremists that killing people, and ruining stores and so on. So yeah, maybe it will escalate, but maybe with the help of this Russian, Armenian, and other forces, it will now be like just, as Tokayev said, right now we will just shoot them straight.
Yeah, and how are people reacting to that statement, to shoot without warning?
A lot of people are afraid. Some people just, like, this ordinary people, they just, okay, like, yes, you should do it. And mainly activists, journalists, and, this independent journalists like me, and activists and human rights experts, they're so afraid because Tokayev, he blamed us and them that we are the cause of these demonstrations, but we don't have like any relations to these extremists. And it's just so, like, it was so oblivious what he said, because if these people are really terrorists and there are 20,000 of them in Almaty, as he said, so what our Committee of National Security was doing all these years, why these terrorists were not like, even like, they just came to our city and nobody knew. And I mean, what they were following, like these peaceful protesters, they were monitoring phones. They even installed Pegasus on our phones, this Israeli spy decoder, and so on. They were like following, like, and I mean, there were a lot of pressure, and even like some violence against these peaceful protesters, while these terrorists were like preparing for this major event, and they maybe used this Genosian protest to do this.
Aisana Ashim, thank you so much for that update from Kazakhstan.